today from the Houston Raceway Park and the NHRA Spring Nationals in the fall. We appreciate you being with us. This is our first time out since before COVID hit.
Yes.
Boy, it has been a challenge. We had a lot of changes here with all of our equipment. Thank you, David Ainsley. Time now for Konrad's Car Clinic. And the subject today is, I can't wait, Tow Mater.
Well, you know, in honor of Camping World being the new series sponsor for NHRA drag racing, I thought we'd talk a little bit about maintenance necessary on your trailers. You know, so you're going to be towing that trailer behind you. You come out to a race event, you know, all these guys have got car trailers. You go down the spectator side, and all these people have their trailers and motorhomes out here lined up on the track. Well, trailers take a lot of maintenance to make sure that you're safe driving down the road. So anytime just before you head out in your trailer, you want to do a few things. You want to check the operation of the brakes, whether you have electric brakes or whether you have surge brakes. Now, if you don't know what surge brakes are, that's a hydraulic braking system. As you brake and the weight of the trailer pushes against the tow hitch, it applies the brakes. So surge braking's a little bit different. Where electronic brakes, it's actually electronically hooked into your vehicle, so as you apply the brakes, the trailer brakes. So depending on the type of system you have, you want to make sure that you're checking the operation on the surge brakes, make sure that the master cylinder's got plenty of fluid in it. Looking at the shoes and drums that are on the trailer, always want to make sure you check the safety chains, make sure the safety chains are there, that they haven't rusted. You know, you'll see every now and then a safety chain gets kind of rusted and the weld breaks on them. Check them for damage, replace them as necessary. Look at the coupler, the receiver, the ball hitch that's in it as well, that everything's lubricated correctly, because you want to make sure you got a little bit of grease on that. Check the wheel bearings, make sure that they're not loose, worn, or damaged, and lubricate the wheel bearings as needed. You know, and depending on what you use your trailer for, the wheel bearing lubrication is pretty critical. If you're dropping a boat in the water, you need to change the grease in those wheel bearings much more frequently than if you're driving something on dry land. And then if you're dropping it in salt water, oh my gosh, you have to use a proper grease for the salt water that's going to get in there and damage the grease on it as well. You know, check your tire pressures, check your wheel lugs every time, make sure that they're tight, because the last thing you want to do is have some damage on your trailer because you forgot to maintain it quickly. So that's Tow Mater. Make sure your tow vehicle is all set up, ready to go.
Very nice. In Real Time Show continues from the NHRA Spring Nationals at Houston Raceway Park after a quick stop. We are all things automotive. From Houston Raceway Park in Baytown, Texas, welcome to the NHRA Spring Nationals in the fall. You're on the award-winning In Real Time Car Show. Just ahead, NHRA drivers from the Top Fuel and Funny Car ranks, along with the NHRA's Vice President of Development. That's coming up this hour. Inside our new car showroom sits the 2020 Toyota RAV4. We'll give you an in-depth review. Plus, we also have this week's automotive history and the stories making auto news headlines this week. It's all just ahead on today's In Real Time Car Show for Saturday, October 24th, 2020, sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Konrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin, and off camera is our fabulous engineer. Let's hear it now, David Ainsley. So glad you could join us. And joining us in our remote studio right now, funny car driver Alexis DeJoria, and I want to just get up and give you a big hug from what you've been through the past two races. Oh my God, what in the world? You know, had a car blow up, and then had a complete burn down last weekend in Dallas.
And thank God, you know, you popped out of that car, jumped into the safety safari's guy's arms, and clearly all is well.
Yeah, definitely. I started to think, man, does somebody have a hex on me? What's going on? Every time I hit the gas on this thing, I don't know what's going to happen. We're running good. We're running consistent. We're qualifying better. Our numbers all the way down the track are better. But we've had some manufacturing issues with our rods. We changed companies. We went testing on Wednesday. Everything looks really good. So hopefully that fixed the problem. But it's Nitro. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to drag racing, because you've been gone for a while.
Yeah, I have. It's been it was a tough time. I did it for the family, and I missed it every day that I wasn't here. I was planning on coming back eventually. Just was a matter of time, and after 2 years, I picked 2020. What a great year!
What a great
timing. It's all in the timing.
Yeah.
Only I would have known. No, I mean, even if I knew what was going to happen this year, I still would have come back because
We missed
the
you.
time. I missed you guys too.
Well,
so.
I mean, and he says that, but we truly, I mean,
Thank
it just
you.
is not the same without you somewhere in the
Thank
NHRA
you.
Top Fuel category.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, brand new team with Del Worsham.
Yeah.
Del Worsham with decades of experience in the
Yeah.
Worsham family. How is that going?
So Del is my mentor. He taught me how to drive a funny car. I got licensed in his family's car, and I mean, it's just been amazing to work with him again. Him and Nikki Bonifane, they've both won championships
Yep.
as crew chiefs, and Del won too as a driver in Top Fuel and funny cars. So the amount of knowledge that those guys have and the communication level that we have is super high. I mean, Del was a driver, so it's like, you know, I come back from a run and he understands everything I
Sure.
say. So it's just been really nice. We handpicked our team, and I still have one of the guys from my very first Nitro team ever. So Phil, hanging tough. But it's been really nice, and I've got Toyota back on board again, and they're just incredible to work with. Super blessed to have them as our manufacturer.
So who taught you how to ride in the escape hatch with your foot on the handbrake trying to stop the car? I heard the interview last week, and I thought, how genius was that to realize, because you couldn't see
the wherewithal
anything.
to do that.
Well, I'm not only a driver, but I'm also a fan of Nitro Funny Car drivers and NHRA racing. Over the years, you hear little things, comments here and there from the pros, from the guys that I always watched growing up. And that was one of the things that I remember. I forgot who it was. They had a really bad fire, and they couldn't stand to be in the cockpit. They had to pop up. And I remember one of them saying that he, you know, put his foot on the brake handle to try to slow it down
How
as he was
genius was
getting
that,
air.
really?
So, because when I went back down in it, because I saw the car was moving still a little too much for me to, you know,
Couldn't bail.
fly off
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, I didn't want to hurt myself on top of everything. So I went back in. It was just so bad, and my airline came off. So
Oh, boy.
it was. I mean, I might as well have not worn a helmet at all. That's how bad it was, the smoke. So yeah, I was like, nope, that's not gonna happen. So I went with the foot, got it slow, and then out of the corner of my eye, I could see one of the safety safari guys all in yellow, and he puts his arms out like this. I'm like, I'm coming.
It's like Dancing with the Stars.
You better be ready.
Marsh pit. There you
So
go.
I
Getting
did
all
not.
this.
I did not realize that you were the only funny car driver to qualify in the top 5 in each of the last 3 races.
That's incredible. I
that
just
is-
found that out too
Yeah.
on my way over here. That's awesome. But
Well, it's a testament
we
to
just
the-
need to not blow up.
Yeah, exactly.
The team you built around you, though, you know, that's, you know, the Del Worsham, the gentleman you said you've had on your original Funny Car Nitro team.
Yes.
You know, all of those people. It takes that build of personalities that know what you want
Right.
in the car to get you there, and then you being quick on the tree.
Yeah.
So I hope we got some different rods in the engine.
We do.
Good.
Looks good.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And the backup car's ready just in case something happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a new body flown out or driven out. Chassis are good, so we looked over everything, and that's why we tested on Wednesday back in Ennis just to make sure everything was right.
And how is the chassis on the burn-up car? Did it make it?
It's fine.
It is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Truly is amazing. So an Austin resident, another Austin resident.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
Tony
Yeah.
Schumacher. Who else? We're coming. We're gonna
Gosh, I
get
know.
there.
Everybody. I don't know. You might see some more guys come out from Indy, but I love it. I love being in Austin. I've been here in Texas for almost a decade now.
So are you and Tony
it's awesome.
neighbors? Live in the same neighborhood? Or?
No, but it's close enough where I could go over there and
It's
hang
Texas.
out and have
Everything's
dinner.
close.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So tell me about your family. I didn't realize that you had a teenage daughter.
I do. She just turned 18 in early September.
I had no clue.
Jeez.
Yeah, she'll be here this weekend. She was raised in the pits. I mean, you know, she's you know, a little track girl. Just taking my burnt up spark plugs out of the trash and making me sign them so she could sell them out the back door. She made some money, let me
That's
tell you.
smart kid.
Yeah. Who's gonna say no to a little 8-year-old going, you want to buy my mom's signed
Spark plugs?
Yeah, I was like, honey,
Use spark
we
plugs.
give those away.
That is so funny. Well, it's great to see you, and
Great to
we're
see you
we're
guys.
huge fans, and
Thank
we
you.
really glad that everything has turned out well.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and we'll be pulling for you this weekend. And thank you so much for stopping by. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you guys. I enjoyed
Thank
it.
Thank
you.
you,
We'll
Alexis
come see ya.
DeJoria, the
Thank
Rocket
you.
Phones Toyota Camry Funny Car driver, and first round of qualifying is coming up in just a little while, as a matter of fact. 2 rounds of qualifying, and everybody's been saying, man, the weather's great. This is going to be
Nice
a
and
great
cool.
weekend.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that you guys get right up there at the top.
Yeah, me too.
Record setting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Alexis DeJoria, thank you
Be
again.
careful. Thank you.
And we appreciate you joining us today here on the In Wheel Time program. And we have more. And we have, as a matter of fact, our next driver is coming right up, a guy that I've known for a number of years. So we invite you to stay tuned for the interview that we're going to have with Shawn Langdon. That is coming up next. Back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. We really appreciate you joining us. We're coming to you live from Houston Raceway Park and the NHRA Spring Nationals in the fall. Joining us now in our remote studio over here in the Tower Club at the park. We're so glad that we're inside, out of the coolish weather, but we're styling now because Shawn Langdon is in the studio with us, and he is the man. I met Shawn out at West Houston Airport, coming to, I guess it was the Spring Nationals that you were coming to that year, and you had this huge rig. I guess you were doing, I don't know what sportsman class were you driving back then?
That would have been Super Comp, Super Gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had no place to park the rig, so he parked it there at the airport.
Yeah, I was just traveling the country looking for places to sleep and park and eat.
Man, things have come a long way since then. You know, that was
Yeah.
2007.
Yes, yeah. So 2007, yeah, I would have had a Super Comp car. Probably would have had 2 Super Comp cars in the trailer because at the time I was traveling around the world running race for the championship in Super Comp, and I had Charlotte Lucas's car with Lucas Oil, and they helped me out during those years. So yeah, it was kind of a crazy transition throughout. You know, just at the time, I mean, just that was my life. That was my way of living and paying bills, was traveling the country and racing and trying to win races.
Kind of like the old days of match racing.
Yeah, that's really what it was. I mean, I there'd be times where I'd pack up everything I had in my closet, my suitcase, and I'd just go on the road until I either ran out of money or just got tired of it or got mad at myself enough for losing.
Or you met Don Armstrong on the way and you thought, that's it, I'm out.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's funny because it's just traveling around the country and meeting so many cool people, and just, you know, like today, you know, just old stories of, you know, back when, you know, you parked your rig over here and you know, we went here and did this and that. But yeah, that's how it was for a long time. I'd go, and if I was winning races, I'd go and I'd keep on traveling the country and race more and just kept going. And when I'd run out of money, I'd travel back to California and go find odd end jobs and just try to get enough of a bankroll back up to where I could pay some entry fees and go back racing again.
And then came the transition into the pro class.
Yeah.
And that was not an easy transition either, was it?
No, I mean, you know, it took a while, and it all happened so fast when it came about. I had just gone from 2007, 2008, won the Super Comp championship, and we get to Pomona, and I had just clinched the championship that day for the second year in a row in Super Comp, and Forrest Lucas and a couple guys from the Lucas Oil team had called me over to their pit, to the Top Fuel pit at the time, you know, with Morgan Lucas Racing, and they had asked me, they said, hey, you have any interest in driving a Top Fuel dragster? And I was, well, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
That's an easy question.
So,
to answer.
think about it.
And to kind of backtrack a little bit, at the time, I had got a phone call back in 2007 from a guy named Tom Conway that runs A Fuel, and he had asked me to come out. Anthony DeCero was working on the team at the time. They had called me, said, "Hey, I think it might have been here in Houston. They had a divisional." And so I remember they said, "Hey, we'd like you to come drive our car at the Houston divisional." I remember at the time I didn't even have enough money to buy a plane flight to go out there. And so he called me. I said, "Man, thanks for the opportunity, but I don't have money to pay for the ride. I don't have money to, to do nothing." "Nope, just get equipment and go out there." So remember at the time I didn't have any of the equipment. I didn't have money to even buy a plane flight to get out there. I had really no business even going. And Morgan Lucas had given me some of his equipment to borrow. And then my dad paid for my plane flight to come out here. So I started racing with Tom Conway for a while, raced a couple races. And then that went through 2007, 2008. I kind of was a filler for Morgan Lucas with his A Fuel team, where he was running for points, and then the races they wanted to go testing, I would drive the car for him. So I had a little bit of, a little bit familiar with big speeds. I was going up to 270 miles an hour in a fuel car. But yeah, when they called me for that, I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to drive a Top Fuel car. And then it kind of went away. Didn't really hear much. And it was kind of funny because how it all came about was it was in the middle, maybe the second week or so-ish of January of 2009. I had a buddy call me up, and he says he was a little upset with me. He's like, "Man, you're kind of an a-hole. Like, why didn't you tell me?" Like, "Tell you what? What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I just read online that you're driving Top Fuel this year."
That's how you found out?
I swear, honest to God. And so I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Go on to competitionplus.com. And so I looked on there and I said, "Let me call you back." So I called Morgan. I said, "Hey, what's the deal? I know we have talked about this, but there was never really any confirmation of this." And he goes, "How'd you find out?" And I said, "Well, I got people calling me saying to look online." And he gets mad. "How do these people know? We just figured this out like late last night." And so he goes, "Get down to the shop." All right. And because I was working at the shop too, working on my Super Comp car. So I went down to the shop. I used to go in there every day. But I walk in and he goes, "Come into my office." All right. So he goes,
Uh-oh.
"All right, well," he goes, "So here's the deal. You're going to drive Top Fuel this year." And
Wow.
I said, "Okay."
Hell of a deal.
So I said, "Well, I mean, at that point, like, what do I need to do?" And he goes, "We'll figure out all the rest later." And I'm like, "Okay."
Nice.
So
you had mentioned from A class to the Top Fuel. Is there different licensing for that? You
So,
had to go through?
so yes, you do have to get licensed to go into Top Fuel from that. But the reason why I think I felt pretty comfortable in it was as the guys sat me in the car and they were going over, warm-up procedures, they were going through burnout procedures, run procedures, and all those things. Everything's pretty much the same driving an A Fuel car to a Top Fuel car. So really the only thing that's different is, you're racing 1,000 foot now instead of 1,320.
Right.
And then at that point I'm like, okay, well, I think I got the gist of it. I kind of understand. The first warm-up went pretty good. We went to Phoenix to go test, get my license. And it was kind of one of those things where it was a little bit nerve-wracking because we go, basically I find out the deal. I get it all set up with Morgan. And then it might have been 2 weeks later, we go to Phoenix to go test. And then the weekend after that, it's Pomona. So if I don't get my license at Phoenix, I can't race.
screwed.
I can't race Pomona.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking my whole mentality for the weekend is don't screw anything up, and that was my whole mentality. But I remember being so excited for the opportunity, and I was so confident, so ready. And Morgan kept, he was kind of like the dad of the thing, like, "Man, are you sure? Are you good? Do you need it?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm fine." And but I remember pulling around the water box for the first time, and they said, "We just want you to cut a light, go to 60 feet, shut it off, and we just want to, tell us what you think."
Right.
So I'm like, okay, all right. So we go roll into the water box, and I remember they spun it over, do their normal clear out deal, and they go, "All right, you ready?" And at that time, I had the sensation of you're sitting in the back of a class in a classroom, and you have not been paying attention for the last hour, and the teacher goes, "Shawn, what's the answer?" And you go, I got no idea. And that was really the sensation that I had.
So you made your best guess.
And I'm just like, oh, man, I don't know what to do here.
All the
So
above.
I remember, you just get that, hot feeling in your cheeks and all that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
But so, yeah, I said, all right. And they fired it up, and then we did it. And I remember hitting the gas for the first time and going to 60 feet. And it was just, I had no words for it. And we get out of the car, and the crew guys were all, they're happy for me, and they're like, "What'd you think?" And I'm just like, "That was incredible. Let's do it again." So we get back, but yeah, it was just a slow progression. We went 60 foot, 330, half track, 1,000 foot. Ended up getting the license, go to Pomona. Got my butt kicked by Corey McLenithan first round. But for me, it was just the opportunity to be able to do it was the coolest thing ever. And the fact that I'm racing, I kind of had a moment, so we go up there first round, I got Corey McLenithan, and then it starts raining right before we run.
Oh, Lord.
So now they back us out. So now we're standing there, and I remember getting out of the car, and I remember thinking, and I just looked into the grandstand. It's like one of those moments that you just like become proud, right? And I'm just standing there on the starting line. I look over, I'm like, man, I got to run Corey McLenithan first round. I'm standing here on Top Fuel car.
In Pomona.
In Pomona, where I grew up, and just seeing the stands were packed, and I'm like, this is one of, like, I made it. That was kind of like
surreal moment.
Yeah, that was kind of my moment where I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But yeah, I lost to Corey McLennan the first round, and it was just, to me, it was just whatever. I was just excited to be there.
So
So let's talk about today. You got you.
Who's your crew chief?
Connie Coletta, Kurt Elliott.
Connie Coletta.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes.
That name
Where have I
sounds,
heard that name before?
name sounds awfully familiar.
Living legend, yes.
Yeah, he was in drag racing way back when I was watching.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
And he still got stories from those days, too.
Yes,
So does Don.
Yeah, and so does Don.
Yeah.
So is he actually helping tune the car?
Yes, he is. Yes, he's very active. So Kurt Elliott, he basically oversees everything. He makes a lot of the calls, but he works hand in hand with Connie. Connie really has all the final calls on the car. So I think that's
How old
one.
is Connie?
Man, what is it? 83?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But what's crazy is, for 83 years old, a lot of times, like guys like him don't get enough credit for being 83 years old, but how sharp he is and just how smart he is. There's so many times that we get in situations, or I get in situations driving the race car, and I kind of come back, scratch my head, and he'll, what do you think? What happened? This and that. And we have full-on discussions about the runs, and he tells me stories about back in the day of things that he would do. We would talk about stories. Obviously he tells a lot of stories about Scott. Scott was an excellent driver. And one thing that he's very proud of Scott on is his ability to pedal a race car and the feel that he had for the race car. So there's
You've gotten pretty good at it yourself, sir.
I'm sorry?
You've gotten pretty good at pedaling a race car too.
Well, it's from working with guys like that, and it's funny because it's like
the mentorship that you're getting. Oh my God!
Well, and
you couldn't buy that.
No, well, that's exactly it. It's funny because like I had just started racing. Take it back a little bit, back to 2012, and I remember the second race I raced for Alan Johnson in the Alan Abbey car, and it was in Phoenix, and car smokes the tires early, and I had this thing all over the place, and I didn't have a clue. I just it's smoking the tires. You lift, you get back in the gas, and I remember I had this thing up sideways on the wall. It was all over. And I remember coming back to his pit, and you hear this door slam because he was in the center trailer by himself. He kind of had his own little technology center in there. And then me and Brian Hewson were in our race trailer, and you hear this door just wham, slam. And Brian Hewson says, uh-oh.
Oh God! Here comes Connie.
This is back with the Alan Johnson deal.
Okay.
And so this is my second race. I don't know what's going on. So he goes, uh-oh, and I go, what? And he goes, I think Alan's come to have a talk with you.
Uh-oh.
So he flings the door open, and he says, get in my trailer. All right. So I get in there, and he spins around on his chair, and he says, who taught you how to pedal a race car? Nobody. And he goes, what the hell were you doing out there? And I said, just driving the car, man.
Holding on.
He said, do you realize how close you got to the wall? And I said, yeah, I got pretty close, And he said, don't ever drive my race car like that again. And so he sat down and really broke down a run for me to where I really understood a lot of different things. Obviously Alan, he's Gary Selzy and Blaine and he's had so many good drivers. So he has a good knack for all this, but he really sat down and broke it down for me where I had a good fundamental learning of what's actually going on. And so that was kind of the base for me, and I kind of progressed off of that. But yeah, now into today, working, with a guy like Connie Coletta, who, I mean, he's got, years of runs and tuning, experience, but also working with him being a driver, but also Scott and some excellent drivers over the years that he gives me some great advice. And man, he's for his age, he's so sharp, and it's awesome to see.
So who won the U.S. Nationals this year?
I don't know, some no-name guy.
Yeah. No, it ain't some no-name guy, dude. It's the biggest race in drag racing.
Yeah. We had a good race car. Connie
had a good run.
Connie did an excellent job that weekend. I mean, we had a flawless car. We had a goofy run in the semis, but parts malfunction, and but other than that, I mean, that car was on a rail all weekend, and we qualified number 1, ended up winning the race. And
were you about as high as you could possibly get after winning that race?
Yeah, I was pretty excited. Just the races, that kind of how the day progressed, and we've had a good car at times this year, and we've struggled at times too. And but to win that race is a big thing. But it's just kind of a little bit of everything. Just I think I get more proud for the team, for the guys.
That's what I was going to say. It's to give back to the team
because
they put the effort in it.
Yeah.
And to be able to deliver the U.S. Nationals to the Coletta organization and your whole crew. How awesome
man,
is
we
that?
really wish you the best of luck today.
Yeah.
And we hope that things go well for you out here. But I, for some reason, well, I guess it's our first meeting out there at West Houston Airport. I've always considered you a local guy that's done good, and that I know you, and we go back a number of years. So, for whatever that's worth,
I appreciate that.
So Don wants to live vicariously through you.
Exactly.
All right.
But don't live through me. That's for sure.
Yeah, so, any predictions on records this weekend?
Today's going to be our best day. Today's going to be fast with the cloud cover. As far as the records, it's going to be really tough. I don't think you'll see any national records, but I'm not sure exactly what track records will be. But you should see some really fast times, some competitive runs from a lot of different teams. Tomorrow will be tricky with if it warms up a little bit like what it was yesterday. But yeah, when you get conditions like what it is today, nice and cool outside with cloud cover, I mean, you can about throw anything you want at it, and it should stick. So yeah, I would suspect you'd probably see. I'm gonna say dragster. You see 66 to 68 as the number 1, and I think in funny car you'll probably see probably like a 86 to 88. I would say in that range. That's going to be my prediction.
Wow.
And I haven't talked to the crew yet. I haven't talked to what they're doing tune-up wise, or talk to the track guys.
You need to get over there really fast.
Yeah, I hopefully for us, I think if we can go like a high 60, low 70, that'd be a good run for us for Q1 or Q2 today.
Well, yeah,
Shawn Langdon.
If you land Q1, Q2, you can try and knock it out of the
park.
Well,
that's exactly it. Yeah, exactly.
Shawn Langdon, DHL Toyota Top Fuel dragster driver. We appreciate you coming by. It's good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We've got more of the In Wheel Time Car Show coming up with our next driver right after this.